Okay. Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Tom Miller, and tonight we are going to be talking about the topic is going to be why should I go to a chiropractor, or even about another question is why shouldn't you? Why shouldn't you go to a chiropractor? So let's take a look at some things here because I think this is very important. Um, so we know that there are millions of people living on drugs every single day. As a matter of fact, I just got completed, talking to one of my patients just a short, minute ago, and we're talking about medication. So we know that we live in a culture that just about, well, I say that most people you probably know are on some form of medication. Okay. So even if we look around us now with this opioid addiction dilemma that we're all dealing with in America, I mean, I see it out in the streets. I see people walking down the street just in a daze. So we also know that people are having to have surgeries who don't know. They just don't know that they're literally a phone call away from getting help. It's just so that we live in a culture where when we watch the news, that's all you see are advertisements, and it's really sad that we have see people having just advertisements on TV that are pushing people to make the decision to push their doctor to get them to prescribe them some type of medication. So, so I'm going to give you an example. So when I was very young, growing up, I suffered with terrible allergies and asthma, and for years, I was in and out of doctor's offices, hospitals, because I would have these reactions from the asthma and allergies. And then when I would go to the doctors, all they did for all those years, from the time I was a young kid up until I was 19, all they ever did really at that point in time for me was give me some form of medication. And guess what? It worked. The medication worked, but guess what? It didn't stay. It was just a temporary fix. So that meant I had to keep going back for the same thing over and over again. So it was temporary relief with a lot of side effects that were happening. So I'm going to tell you this, and I'm telling you the truth about this. I recall the last time that I took the medication. I was probably 18, and I had a serious reaction. And I don't know what a heart attack feels like, but what it felt like was my heart was just going to explode through my chest from taking this medication. Then I went through a period of, going to doctors to see what I was allergic to. So I would go and they would prick my arm with all these different things to see what I had reactions to, pollen and all this kind of stuff here. And again, none of that worked. So what did I do? It goes back to why should I go to a chiropractor? Well, I didn't know at that time, but I had, a young lady that was a friend of mine. Actually, she was at that time at 19, she's my girlfriend, who made a suggestion that I would go to her chiropractor. And I'm like, look, what am I, I didn't know anything about a chiropractor, but my question was why and what is a chiropractor going to do for me? So I was introduced to my chiropractor. He taught me about my brain, my spinal cord, my spinal nerves, and how that they can be interfered with. Okay, so what he was telling me was basically showing me an example of the spine, and these are like example of two vertebrae, the disc, spinal nerves coming off the spinal cord. And what he shared with me was that it's very likely that through our life and activities that we do. And I was an athlete, so I played football, played basketball, played track, and those are a lot of physical stresses that were affecting me. And then again, I dealing with this asthma and allergies. And what he shared with me was this, that those interferences could cause in my spine a condition called a vertebral subluxation. That is when one or more of these vertebrae shift out of their normal alignment. They put pressure on the spinal cord and the spinal nerves. Now remember that each of these nerves that come off of here, okay, so we have 24 movable bones in the spine, and we have these nerves going out to all of these organs, cells, and tissues, like we see here in the back here. This chart here showing the spine and the nerves that are coming out, going to all the organs. And so when that occurs, these misalignments, we in chiropractic call subluxations, they will actually cause an interference or interruption of the neural pathways in terms of where the nerves are going to and how they impact the entire body system. And they can be caused by, mental and emotional stress, physical stress, in my case, playing the sports and things over the years, and then chemical stressors. Like I knew for me, for example, when I was a young child, I would, help my mom and my brothers and sisters clean the house, and we were using stuff like bleach and Clorox, and I didn't know at the time, but what I did know is that when I was in the environment of using that stuff, I could smell the toxic fumes that were coming off of the Clorox and the bleach, and I would have like this asthmatic reaction to it. Okay, so that's a chemical response that or a chemical stressor that can bombard the nervous system and causing your nervous system not to function the way that it was designed and programmed to function. So what does that mean? That means that we can have thoughts, trauma, and toxins that can impact the human body. And the culture that you and I live in today, think about it. Think of the number of people that you know that engage in eating all kinds of junk. And I've been guilty of that. And I'm still guilty of that every once in a while, okay? But you bombard yourself with all of this stuff, these toxins that are going into you, and then all of a sudden, you may find that you have a runny nose, your eyes are running, your energy is low. Now, what has happened? You have a toxic overload in your system that's your body is responding to, that causes all these different reactions to come up, and then you have these problems. So at that young age of 19, my chiropractor taught me about the importance of fueling my body with the right kinds of foods, such as the vegetables, fruits, lean meats, your fish, turkey, lamb, things like that, and making sure that my beverage of choice was water. No longer was I going to be engaging in drinking Kool-Aid. Even when I go back and think in high school when we had Gatorade. Gatorade when I was in high school was just saline and water. It had a little lemony taste to it, but there was no sugar. So that's a big difference now. So you find that most of the athletic drinks that people are drinking today, or athletes or whoever's drinking this stuff, is loaded with sugar. So we were taking in, to me, it looked like dirty dishwater, but it was Gatorade, and I think that it had a much better impact on our health at the time than what we see with the different types of sports drinks that we're drinking today. Okay, so he really taught me also about the importance of staying away from eating sugars, processed foods, white flour, and highly sugared soft drinks. As I said before, with the Gatorades and things like that, they were not going to be a good choice for me. And over the course of time, I on my own as a young person, I started studying. I started really getting a good idea of what this thing was all about. And so he gave me a great education about health. He gave me a great education about eating correctly, and then more importantly, he gave me an understanding of how my spine and my nerve system was one of the key factors, or probably the most important key factor in maintaining good quality health and being able to perform at my highest level. So from that point on, I was under his care. I was 19 years old, and I was under his care 2 to 3 days a week. And I can recall going to see him probably about 6 months. And during that 6 months, what I noticed was that gradually over time, my health began to get better. I noticed that I could function better. I noticed that my allergies were not there. I noticed that my asthma. And I would say probably after 6 months, I don't think I experienced any type of asthmatic attack or symptoms that I had prior to that. So you might say, okay, well, chiropractic cures asthma. No, never would say that. But what I would say is that what the adjustments did for me was cleared my nervous system so that my brain could communicate more effectively to all parts of my body. And by doing that on an ongoing basis, would allow my system to perform at its highest level. Okay? Now, it's important for people to know that chiropractic is the largest non-medical healing art in the world today. Okay? And what's interesting about it, it's people that utilize chiropractic today. There could be people who are office workers, movie stars. We know. I was just watching a video today of a professional athlete that plays for the Los Angeles Lakers, who was under chiropractic care, and he gave a testimony on how chiropractic has tremendously affected his life and his playing performance. Okay. We know that there are scientists. In my own practice, I've actually worked with students, athletes from grade school all the way through to high school, college, and then there have been athletes that I've taken care of that are professional athletes. Okay, laborers, and I think about people who are carpenters, who do, people who lay rugs. I mean, just think about what they do and how it impacts their spine and nerve system. So business people who really want to have a clear thinking, clear mind are people who actually would go to chiropractors. I've even had medical doctors who come to me as for chiropractic care. Lawyers, I have judges, teachers, homemakers. I probably, this is going about 2 months ago, I was able to take care of a mother and her 2-month-old infant who suffered with colic. And after the adjustment, the baby was constipated at the same time, crying and complaining, through crying. And I was able to give that baby a really nice adjustment. And 45 minutes later, the mom called me back and said, "Hey, you'll never believe what happened." And obviously, I had a sense of what happened, but the baby had a nice bowel movement. And that night, the baby slept really, really well as the mom. Also elderly. I think it's important that we know that elderly people are, there have been studies to show that people who are elderly that are under chiropractic care, that have been under chiropractic care for a while, have a tendency to have be on less medication. They also have less times going to medical doctors and things like that, and they just seem to live a much more robust and impactful life. And that's what we all want to do. Also weekend warriors. You got people out here that haven't played sports in a while, or they just want to go out and do something over the weekend and kind of wrench their back or what have you. I just had a gentleman who unfortunately today came in, and he a week ago was getting out of his car and somehow he slipped and fell and injured his neck, back, and his shoulder. So just little things like that. Okay, so who should go to a chiropractor and why? Who should go? Okay. And it really depends on who you ask who should go. For example, if you ask several of my patients who were relieved of migraines, they may say things like, anyone with migraine should go to see a doctor of chiropractic. Okay. On the other hand, if you ask any of my patients who are high school, college, or professional athletes, who no longer have neck pain or back pain, you would probably get an answer from them that yes, you should go to a chiropractor because it really helps to alleviate if you have neck or back pain, or if you want to have better performance, you should go to a chiropractor. So, and again, they will tell you that chiropractic is there for relieving neck and back pain and the headaches and what have you. So if you talk to any mother, like the mother that I took care of, a month or two ago, and ask her if infants should go to a chiropractor, and especially if they have colic or any of those kinds of issues that are going on, and no longer have it, well, they're going to say that if you have a baby that's suffering from colic, then you should definitely take them to the chiropractor. Okay. What about someone like I had several of patients come to me who have shoulder problems, okay, or back or disc surgery problems, and as a result of them coming to the chiropractor, coming in, getting adjusted, they no longer had to go and get surgery on their shoulders. They no longer had to get back or disc surgeries. Now, I'm not saying that this is true for every patient out there, but I'm telling you, there's a good number of people out there that because they've gone to chiropractors with those kinds of problems, they're going to be the ones who will tell you, well, you should go to the chiropractor if you have that issue because it's done something for me. Okay? But again, what we want to look at is this. Look, those are limited views because there are, case histories of people with all kinds of health issues that have been helped. I mean, there are people with all kinds of diseases. I mean, I myself had years ago took care of a patient who had lupus. Now, again, I'm telling you, I'm not telling anyone out there, nor am I suggesting to anyone out there that chiropractic care helps cure or helps people who have lupus. But the reality was this particular patient who came in, got adjusted, and over a course of time, from what she shared with me and explained to me, that over time the lupus went into remission. I don't know. But I'm saying that this is possible. And so we've seen this happen with people out there from many number of chiropractic offices who've had changes with conditions with certain types of diseases, whether it be heart trouble, hyperactivity, hypertension, certainly those with, especially with children we've seen who have ear infections, who've responded to chiropractic care. If you have any type of fatigue or allergies, digestive problems, colds, flus, or hundreds of other conditions that people who been able to relieve those conditions. So who should go? My theory is that anyone out there that has any type of problem, or even if you don't have a problem, you may want to consider to going, to a chiropractor. And then, so now the question, so why? Okay, why is it so? Why is it, okay? So we know that the goal, right, the goal of chiropractic is to release your own natural healing ability by correcting this condition we call a vertebral subluxation or spinal misalignment. Again, what we said that what a subluxation is when one or more vertebrae in the spine is forced out of its normal alignment, putting pressure on a nerve, causing that nerve system to no longer function at 100% of its ability to function. And as a result of that, we're going to have a digression of your body's ability to perform the way it was designed and programmed to perform. Okay? So we want to basically release your own innate healing ability by correcting the vertebral subluxation complex. Okay, and that's the vertebral alignment. These are serious blockages to your health and your energy, and we want to remove that. So I personally think about chiropractic is that something that actually helps to release your innate intelligence or life force that will go out and do what it was designed to help your body function at its maximum potential, and not doing anything to fix anything. Okay, so correcting the vertebral subluxation complex promotes natural healing, vitality, strength, and health in the body. And we're not saying that you have less of something. What we're saying, and what I've learned over the years when I communicate with my patients, we're releasing this vital force in the body to allow the body to express itself at a much greater capacity so that you can have greater health. So this is why you may see, like, for example, if you walk into any chiropractic office, I know a lot of days when I'm in here and our practice is booming, and I have patients come in and we have an open adjusting area, and people can see what we're doing, and there's communication going on. So with that in mind, I will at times ask the patient to share with those who are sitting there waiting to get adjusted, especially those who are new. And they may, have this conversation. Well, I'm here because I have headaches. I'm here because I have allergies. I'm here because of whatever. And so, waiting in a chiropractic waiting area, you will find a lot of different conversations going on as to why people are going to chiropractors. Okay, like my example for myself is, as I said, I was going because I had was dealing with this allergies and asthma for so many years. And as a result of going to my chiropractor, I was able to relieve that, resolve that issue, but I still go. It's not something I did for a short period of time. My philosophy is now is that chiropractic is something that is a lifestyle for me, that is something I'm going to do every week, at least once a week, go and get my adjustment. And depending on how things are going that week, if I'm working out harder, if I'm in here adjusting more, there may be weeks that I may go to my chiropractor twice a week and sometimes 3 times a week. Okay? So the next question is what is a subluxation? Because this is why people come, and this is what we educate our patients on about the subluxation. Okay? So subluxation, again, as we said, is when one or more bones of the spine moves out of its normal alignment, and as a result puts some pressure, irritation on the spinal nerve, causing that particular area of the body to not function at its highest capacity because of that interference. So subluxation is a misalignment of one or more of the 24 movable vertebrae in the spine. And what it does, it irritates your nerve system, resulting in overall disharmony and malfunction. Okay? And many people will go through life not feeling it, because remember, life and health is more than just feeling. Okay? You could have, and I'm sure we've all experienced this with people in our families or friends who you ask them one day, how are you feeling? They'll say, I feel fantastic, I feel great. I just went to see my medical doctor, he gave me a bill of health, like excellent. And then a day or two later, you hear that person dropped dead of a massive heart attack. So you don't have to feel anything. I'm saying that to me, what's more important than feeling is how am I functioning. Okay, I want my body to be functioning well, because what I know is this: if my brain and nerve system is functioning well, right? If it's functioning well, then it will have a greater tendency to be able to feel what might not be going well in my body. So I'd rather make sure that we want to feel and function well, but the game here is to make sure that your body and your nerve system is functioning well. And how do we do that? By making sure we keep the spine in proper alignment, get checked and adjusted on an ongoing, regular basis from the time you were born and until the time you leave this earth, okay, or this body. So chiropractors, then, when we talk about what do, we are trained specifically to analyze the spinal column. Okay, so I have a little friend over here. This here is the spinal column, and we've been, through our training, been taught how to palpate this. And we can see that if we look at the spine from the rear, from the back here, we have these little bumps, and you can see these bumps on a person who doesn't have a shirt on, and you can feel like little lumps on the back of the spine. And if they move out of alignment, then we can, through our palpation, we can actually feel that. Okay? When we look at the spine from the side, we want to make sure that we have these 3 distinct curves. You got a forward curve in the neck, a backward curve in the mid-back, and another forward curve in the lower back. And then in between each of these vertebrae, we have what we call disc. And those discs are there to help as spacers between each of the vertebrae, so it gives enough space so that the spinal nerve can exit off of the spinal cord to go to all the organs, cells, tissues of the human body. So if in fact we have what we call this subluxation, then it obviously is going to interfere with that nerve system ability to do what it was designed and programmed to do. So our goal as a chiropractor then is what? We will remove, first we locate, analyze, and then we remove the vertebral subluxation using specific spinal adjustments. I happen to do, in my practice, I adjust with my hands, but I also use an electrical instrument. Called an arthrostim and a percussor. So we use one to help relax the muscle, and then we use the other one to do a tapping procedure to help to realign the vertebrae, and then I use my hands to also to adjust. Okay? And so in doing that, it's going to free you from the structural misalignments and also nerve system stress. So the whole idea is we want to reduce, and this is another good top point that I want to make here. We live in a culture right now over the last 2 years people have been under a great amount of stress, and I'm sure that you would agree with me out there, would you? If you have any comments, just, put them in the comment chat box there. But we are living in a very stressful time, and it's still stressful for a lot of people. Right? We probably have, unfortunately, during this time, more suicides that are happening in this country, more people on different kinds of drugs, especially the opioid addiction type drugs. Just a lot of stress. And so you can imagine that if you're out there and you've been experiencing this stress, how it's impacting your brain and nervous system. And so if you are, then that tells me, and you should know, that one of the best places you should be is in a chiropractic office, getting checked and making sure that you get those nerve irritations, subluxations cleared out so your body can perform at its maximum potential. Okay? So, let me put my buddy back here. Excuse me one sec. So, moving forward. So, my chiropractic message to you is this, it's very simple, and it's been known from the beginning of time. I really believe this, okay? You have within you, every one of us, we have this inborn innate intelligence, okay? With the healing ability that needs to be reawakened and unleashed. Your body's innate intelligence is your healer. I always tell patients the experience that if you ever have a paper cut, or if you have any kind of cut, the typical response from most human beings is to lick the cut, and then you sit back and realize that, okay, how did that little cut heal? Or how does anything heal in the body? Okay? If we have any type of ailment, infection in some part of the body, your white blood cells go to come forward to just much like an army or whatever, to help that area heal up. So I'm of the belief that there's an innate intelligence in the human body that was designed and programmed to give the body every single thing that it needs in order for it to be healthy and whole. And I firmly believe that your brain and nerve system, which is protected by this cranium or heart skull here, if it wasn't important, I just don't believe that God or our Creator, however you want to call it, would create this body in such a way that this magnificent computer called the brain, spinal cord, spinal nerves, that would be able to bring all of these forces within and to go out into the body and do what it knows how to do in order to help that body heal. I mean, just think about when you and I sit down and eat a meal. You don't have to think about how and what needs to go here, what needs to go there, in order for the body to extract the nutrients that it needs and then get rid of the waste out of the body. So it's important that you and I understand this, because I think in the deepest parts of your heart and your mind, you know that there's an innate intelligence in you that's running the show. I don't care what any medical doctor out there says or any other chiropractor. It doesn't matter. I really believe that there's an intelligence in us. It's like I believe there's a universal intelligence within this world that holds all things together. And I'm of the firm belief that within the human body, that vertebral subluxations is a major stressor that interferes with your natural innate heal's ability to function properly. So the key thing is you'll feel better as you remove these vertebral subluxations out of your spinal system. You're going to heal better, and most importantly is you're going to function better if you have no subluxations in your spine. So my suggestion to everyone out there would be that understand that periodic chiropractic spinal examinations and adjustments for you, your family, and your loved ones help keep you from the subluxations, and also promotes your internal healing ability with your life, throughout your life journey. And that's what we want. We want to have this great life. I mean, I don't think anyone out there, when you think about it, gets up in the morning and looks forward to taking a cabinet full of medicine to get them through the day. And have to be on a timer to determine what you're going to have to take for the rest of the day. I think your life was designed to be lived in such a way that you should have vitality throughout your life. So why should you go to a chiropractor? I think that the reason why everyone should be going to a chiropractor is because having a healthy spinal column makes good common sense. I don't know how many people out there would buy a car, whether it's used or brand new, you call your own, and not follow the manual that tells you that every 3,000 to 5,000 miles you should have your oil changed, or you have your tires rotated, or get your engine checked on a regular ongoing basis. Okay? My thinking is, if that's true, you should do the same thing. So my thinking is this: if you're sick, right, you should go to the chiropractor to strengthen your natural innate ability to heal. And so let's say if you're feeling fine, then on that end you should also remember that painless subluxations that are there. So you could be walking around with subluxations, you could be feeling great. You still need to go and get checked. Why? Because those subluxations will undermine your health over time. Okay? So you and your family should get your spines checked regularly to make sure that you're living free from hidden spinal nerve stress, so you're functioning at your highest level. Okay? So on a personal note, I just want you to know, like for example, with my wife and my children, I've always made it a point that throughout the time that my children were young, that they were getting adjusted on a regular, consistent basis. My wife gets adjusted every week. When my son Reese, who just graduated from college, when he was coming home, he got adjusted, and when he's home now, he gets adjusted. My son Tyler, when he comes to visit, he gets adjusted. So we make it a family thing, and that's what you want to do. You want to make it a family thing to make sure that your entire family is under chiropractic care, getting checked and adjusted on a regular basis. Okay? So in wrapping up here, should you go to a chiropractor if you're suffering from a disease? Or should you go to a chiropractor if you're under medical care? And the answer to both of those things is absolutely yes, you should. There's nothing wrong with you making sure that your spine is properly aligned so you have maximum potential of your body to heal. And there's nothing wrong with you if you are going to a medical doctor, why you should not be able to go to a chiropractor at the same time, so that you make sure that your spine stays in proper alignment, so that whatever you're doing with your medical doctor gives you a greater potential for your body to function better by keeping your spine and nerve system in proper alignment. Okay? So for me, believe that every single person on the planet should be under chiropractic care. Chiropractors perform a unique service, and that is to locate, analyze, and correct the vertebral subluxation or spinal misalignments. So everyone out there should be visiting your doctor of chiropractic for spinal checkups and follow up with ongoing spinal care for the rest of your life. So in ending tonight, my suggestion to you would be to make it a point to call your chiropractor, to seriously consider getting in on a regular basis. If you haven't been to my office in a while, call and get back on track. Okay, it's so easy today where we can get so caught up. We have patients who come in with serious problems. They start a series of adjustments, and then as soon as they feel better, they'll stop. But they'll turn around and come back. But my theory is start it, stick with it, and stay with it for the duration of your life. So I want to give you an offer tonight that those of you who are out there listening to this, if you would like to come in for a complimentary consultation, give us a call. We are here in the office Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the afternoon, and then we take a break, and then from 3 to 6 p.m. Monday through Thursday. Our office number is 609-383-9121. And share this with as many people as you know, and let them know that, chiropractic is something that will be a vital part of their health team. Okay, if you have dentist, you have your medical doctor, you have a gynecologist, you do all these things. You want to definitely have a chiropractor under your wings in terms of you having a well-rounded program of care. So we pray that you had a great time tonight, learned something. Again, as I said, please share this with as many people as you possibly can, and have a great evening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. We'll see you back here on July the 12th and July 26th. Okay? Have a great evening. Thank you.